Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today we are going to discuss about GraphQL. I hope most of you guys are aware about what is GraphQL and why it is used. But for those who are not aware about it, I will be explaining the concept, why GraphQL is developed, and what are the advantages of it, and why we use GraphQL as a service. So, uh, so GraphQL basically is used for a SOAP, REST, and GraphQL. GraphQL is basically used for API calls. Okay, whenever we we have a communication between client and server over the internet, at that time we need to have a communication between with them in terms of APIs, and those APIs are written into SOAP or REST earlier, but GraphQL i- is introduced later with by Facebook for easy and for speedy communication. We will be talking about the few why it is used. So initially communication over internet was happening via SOAP and request and rest, and the response request and response was in XML. Okay, initially the communication over the network was happening via SOAP. Request and request response was in XML format. Here we need to define unique actions, and we need to call those unique actions to get the data. Okay, like we create get list of students. So this method basically will be calling all the list of all the students who are created so far. So if we create 100 students, it will call this same action will call all these 100 student. If we create 1000 students, it will call all the 1000 students list within a go. Okay, then if we have created also the users, create users, it will again will call all the users. It will give the list of all the users which has been created, and it uses the HTTP and REST are tightly coupled APIs. Now if we talk about the REST, so REST is tightly coupled with HTTP S protocol, and it is using the get, put, post APIs to communicate over the server. Now a question arises that why should I use GraphQL when we have SOAP and when we have the REST APIs? Why we use GraphQL? So GraphQL is what does it mean? What does it even mean? What are the advantages? Now a question is arises, like when we have REST APIs, the when we have the REST APIs, when we have the SOAP APIs, why should I use GraphQL? What does it even mean? What are the advantages of it, and where I can use it? There are a lot of questions that are hanging around. The questions like, how does it make my life easier, or should I implement it in my next project? Should I abandon the REST API as the GraphQL is here? So the answer to it is simply no. You cannot abandon REST APIs, even though GraphQL is there. So now the question arises, now who invented the REST API? Who invented the GraphQL? GraphQL was invented. Now GraphQL is invented by Facebook. uh, GraphQL is a query. If you talk about the definition of GraphQL, GraphQL is a query language designed to build client applications by providing an intuitive and flexible syntax for describing their data requirement. GraphQL is a query language. I will repeat myself. GraphQL is a query language designed to build the client applications by providing an intuitive and flexible syntax for describing their data requirement. Now, what does this mean? So, in GraphQL, we have a smart no endpoints where we the payload is where payload is designed as per our requirement and it is not a static one. Overfetching and underfetching earlier, whenever before GraphQL came into the technology, REST APIs and SOAP APIs are working on a phenomenon called overfetching or underfetching, where when you make a call to the server, it might get some information which is not required for you. So if get if you call a get request, it might get you all the list of the students at once who has been created into the database. Eh, and you know at a smaller level, it does not impact any performance or any functionality, like if you have 100 or 200 students. But when you have millions and billions of records at that time, getting all the millions and billions of records at the same time, and processing all those students, like if I want to get all the top 5 students from every field who are taking my courses. So if I'm running courses, multiple courses, if I running 10 different courses online, and I am, and in every course I have 10,000 students or 1 million students enrolled throughout the globe, then it is not feasible if I want to get only 5 top 5 performer of each and every group from the all the 10 different uh, all the 10 different this courses. So that in that case, all the mm, million or 10 million, if if I have 1 million, then all the 10 million records will be fetched, and I don't want to get all those records. I just want to have 5 records from each and every group. So that is the overfetching. Now what is underfetching? Underfetching is something like whenever I wanted a data to have, like I want to see the it is the reverse scenario where I have I want to have the maximum records, but there there are no according to my query, it is not fetching me all the records, it is giving me some of the records. So the main goal of the making GraphQL was to make the query smarter. We have been designing the endpoints such as APIs that fetch the data. The only problem with them was they do overfetching or underfetching. Sometimes the data is so less, we need to make another query. Okay, so according to my need, I want to get all the students, then I want to get the top performer, then I want to get in which year they were top performer, in first year, in second year, in third year. I want to get that as well. So to to manage all these conditions, to manage all these parameters, I cannot make that in one go. So I need to fetch all the information from the data, then I will process it for one one condition, then I will process it for the other condition, then again I need to get the data. So that problem, to solve that under fetching, we need a query to be smart enough to identify our requirements and get us the result what we require. Sometimes the data is too much, you don't need the whole data. And see, it does not hamper a performance if you are working on a smaller scale. But imagine if you are a if you are at Facebook and you are dealing millions and billions of records in seconds, in every seconds, it hampers the service, and it is expensive on the server side. It is expensive on the server side, because the more queries you hit onto the server, the more it is more likely to hamper the performance, and ultimately which will cost us some monetary deficit. Okay, Now take one scenario where it is used. Give me like if we are considering if we want to get all the names, age, height and high score of the top 5 players that played in 2005 cricket world cup. So we want to get all these details, so we will get all the table info related to the query. If we are using the rest apis or the soap apis, we will be getting the all information related to all the tables. So if we have information table like info table, the year wise table, the and the performance voice table, so all the tables will be, we will be getting all the information from all the tables. Then we will be processing that and nitpicking the information that is actually required. So that is the problem with the apis, soap and rest apis. And most of the apis will look like slash player slash player id slash player country, and often these endpoints which IDs do not have any specific information. Okay, so the Facebook, we will be fetching a lot of information. It will surely be overfetched. Then we will be nitpicking the information that is actually required. We are doing that. We are currently doing that if we are dealing with a huge data or with where the customer interaction is huge. At that time, we will be using or we will be nitpicking the information which is actually required. And hitting server multiple times for a single user, where when we have millions and billions of user, is not feasible and not as advisable. So we should be not using the rest apis for in those conditions. Like the whole ids are given. So like coming back to our main discussion, that is when we want to get the information, basic information of a player, and I want to get the top 5 performer for 2005. So it will be like whole ids are given. I'll get the all the ids, and list of all the countries will be given. If we are searching for ids, we will be getting hundreds of ids with the names, address, etc, but we only need 5 responses, which is very expensive for the Facebook, which is very expensive even for the Facebook. Okay, so they then GraphQL came into picture, where we will make selective endpoints rather than dumb endpoints. Okay, now REST API is a self-serving restaurant. REST API is a self-serving restaurant. In REST, you will go to consider REST API as a self-serving restaurant, where you will be going to each and every counter. Let's suppose you have 10 different counters. You will be going to each and every counter and you will be making a decision to take it or not. Or if you want to have it, you will go to 10 different locations and you will collect the info. You will collect the uh, you will you will make your platter by your own. So it's a buffet system, where you will take a plate, you will go to the counter 1, you will decide, okay, I want salad, you will take salad. On other counter you will go, you will take the bread. On other counter, on next counter you will go, you will take the cheese. On the next counter you will go, you will take the dessert. On the next counter you will go and you will take the vegetables, and so on and so forth. So in this way, you will be taking all the all the things whichever and whatever you wanted or you needed. Then you will sit and you will enjoy your meal. Okay, then you will enjoy your meal. But the GraphQL has a smarter solution. It has a waiter with you. So whenever you go to a restaurant, you will he will simply give you a menu. You will sit on to the you will sit on the table, you will sit on the chair, you will sit on the table, and he will take your order. You will look at the menu, you will decide smartly what all things you want, and you can even ask the waiter how these things taste like, so that you can, it will help you to decide your taste and decide your uh, selection. It will help you to select the things. Now once you order it, he will go, he will give the order to the chef. He will create that and he will bring back it to the table. Okay, so you don't need to go anywhere. He will smartly, you are going to take a smarter decision in one go. You will give every information whatever you needed, and that waiter will be serve you, that waiter will serve you. Okay, here the same concept is applied in GraphQL. You will make your query smart enough that in one query itself you will write all your conditions, all your parameters, and that query will fetch you all the required information in one go. You don't need a multiple iteration to get the query or that get the desired result. Okay, now there are some questions with GraphQLs. So is GraphQL related to the graph database? No, it is not. It is similar, like GraphQL works on a graphical graph format. It approaches the graph it approaches the graph and phenomenon, where it is checking the best possible way to graph the query. And it is GraphQL stands for graph query language. Okay, then question 2 is, should I stop using REST API and use GraphQL? No, it is not advisable, because everyone has their own needs and requirements. So as per the requirements, you can use REST APIs. If your system is not handling with a big data, you can use it with a smaller data as well. Then the question third is, what is the syntax difference between REST API and GraphQL? So the syntactical difference is a very minimal. Okay, we will be talking about the syntax into our coming slides. Okay, now the next question is, what should I need to implement GraphQL to, or to learn GraphQL? So to learn GraphQL, we need two things basically. The first thing is server's connection, and the second thing is client to make a request. So on server side we can have multiple servers. So Facebook was using the relay. Then we have Apollo server, then we have Express, then we have Node.js, then we have GraphQL.js. These are servers which are available for using the GraphQL. Now GraphQL is a technology which is also adopted by the Microsoft. For they are now migrating from REST APIs to GraphQL. Okay, and they are, so it's a big news that they are migrating their data from REST APIs to GraphQL, because again they are also serving to a larger audience, and they have a great huge data, customer data, which they can serve. Okay, now GraphQL has four important aspects. So the first is query, where you can it will be a simple form of a query where you will get the information. Then on a second aspect is mutation. In mutation you will simply have put, post, patch, delete type of requests. Okay, then on third it will be having subscription, where you will be having dealing with the real-time data and WebSocket services, which is currently not served by, supported by Nexial. Okay, and the fourth one is variable. So again this variable is nothing new concept, we are already using it into our Java. So whenever we have certain values which are going to be changed, or we want our data, or we want our code or program to work on different inputs, at the time we create a variable. Similar way we will be creating variables over here. So these are the main four aspects of the uh, GraphQL. Now, the GraphQL query. This is how the GraphQL query looks like. So it has query it with curly bracket open and curly bracket close, and in between we will be writing the the information what we need. So we here we want a post request with id 1, where I want the id, where I want the details as id, title and body. So it will fetch me all these three information on the basis of the id. Okay, if I want to make it dynamic, if I want to make it used with variable, I can use it with variable. So variable will be like this, where I will be, where variable is declared at the bottom here. If you see that id is equals to 1, and this id I'm using over here. So this is the way we use in GraphQL variable. But if we are going to use this into our next CL program, then at the time we will be using a dollar sign with curly brackets open and id and curly bracket closed. So that way we will be handling it into our next CL. Okay, now it is let's do some practice. So we will be doing some practice on it, and